Alright everybody, welcome to Mega Man and Bass, or Rockman and Forte as it was known in Japan. This is one of the last games that was released for the Super Nintendo. This came out in 1998. There were a couple games after that, notably the last Fire Emblem game for the SFC was in 2000, but they were kind of well spaced out, to put it nicely. And this is one that's always kind of captured my interest, probably because, hey, it was a Japanese exclusive for a period, so it had a certain mystique around it, because we didn't get it until they released it on the GBA, and the GBA version absolutely sucked fucking shit, but I digress. In this game, and we'll see a little bit more of this, you'll get to play as either Mega Man or Bass, and it's also kind of one of the hardest games in the franchise. Probably the second hardest of the regular Mega Man games. A couple of the X games are significantly harder in my opinion. After all, I did play through X6, and I did kind of want to throw something by the end of that. And the same is true of X7, but X7 also has to contend with absolute shit tier design with the 3D. Meanwhile, this is all still 2D and it all basically works. So, the big contrast here is that this is actually a good game, despite the fact that it's harder than absolute butts. I may have to dial down my desktop volume a little bit here too on OBS to make sure that, yeah, so I'm gonna do that real quick. Just to make sure that my voice like actually gets above it, because I was seeing those limitations and they were looking a little bit crusty. Also, I'm going to announce a thing that I don't believe I've ever really done on stream. Yes, during the attract modes, yes. Once we get to actual gameplay, there will be music in the stages, so not to worry. This is just the demo. I'm not actually touching the... Well, okay, I'm holding the controller, but yeah. We will get there in a moment. Yeah, so one little other thing that I would like to throw out here as an announcement, something that I've never really done before for anything on stream. Oh, Bass, you buffoon, you have a double jump. Is that I'm doing a donation incentive to collect all of the 100 CDs in this game, where for every $1 that I receive in like bits or any of that kind of shit, I'll go and make sure that I get at least that many CDs. It's not because I'm out here specifically raising money for anything. Honestly, it's more of a joke on the fact that really the only money that I would possibly get would be from Irene, who is up there in the chat, donating $1 per stream. Because that would mean that I would probably not have to really bother with any of them, because getting all of the 100 CDs in this game is really rough. And yeah, I don't really like doing any of the dono kind of stuff, because I'm always worried that people will be like, oh, well, you know, it's a very grasping sort of behavior. Oh, you're just a streamer, kind of, you know. Any of that kind of nastiness that you could possibly imagine. Plus, I mean, again, I'd hardly say that I need it. So, yeah, just yeah. Now that I'm done talking and introducing, let's get into some actual gameplay. Now, as you can see, we've got Mega Man and we've got Bass available as playable characters. They differ quite heavily in their gameplay. Bass has like a machine gun instead of the charged Mega Buster that Mega Man has. He also has a double jump, but he trades this for the ability to do a low power slide. The translation is sort of a bit of an oddball. Oh yeah, my transform is all fucked up here on this thing. Let me see if I can fix this. I didn't even notice that the bounding box was cropped wrong. So,
a bad version of Adla, starring Boomerang.
Thank you for the 100 bits.
Cats go to purgatory?
Now, regarding translation, I'm going to take a quick guess that the regular text is translated, but like these graphics are untouched because graphics hacking is a little bit more difficult to do than like text modification is. Especially if the English text characters already exist in the game, which I believe they do for regular dialogue and stuff. And yes, for those of you who do not recognize, these Mega Man sprites, and in fact quite a few of the others, are pretty much just rescaled versions of things from Mega Man 8. In fact, this game came out at a time not too far off from when Mega Man 8 came out. And I feel that a lot of people, and even myself included for a little while, sort of perceive this as the true Mega Man 8. Because there was definitely a period when I did not like Mega Man 8, and Mega Man 8 has a really funky reputation that I think is mostly due to people being like, the translation and the voice acting, which, I mean, I don't think that's a real imposition of the gameplay. In terms of from the gameplay perspective, I'm pretty Mega Man 8 pilled now. Like, I have enough taste to say that it still played pretty well. It was still a Mega Man game. It still walked the walk of a Mega Man game. And this one is probably a little bit rougher, but yeah. ROMhacking.net is unfortunately has gone into read-only mode, and by this point, I bet the archive is like taken down. It's wild to me seeing the amount of conspiracy theories, and by that I mean I saw like one person conspiracizing that like, oh, did Nintendo have something to do with it? Nah, sometimes people just wish to stop doing certain things, right? Also, yeah, doing the power slide is a little bit tough, but I don't think we're gonna have to do a whole lot of like moving power slides. Maybe I have to tell SNES 9X that it counts as a diagonal when I'm pressing both buttons. But yeah, archive.org should still have the entire archive of RHDN up there. If you have 12 gigs, I would highly encourage just straight up downloading the entire ROMhacking.net archive and keep it on a backup on something you have that is reasonably fat, that like, you know, if you have a good like 16 gig flash drive or something, even just keep it on there, because quite frankly, we don't know when it's gonna go down. Archive.org has been subject to a lot of, well, bullshit lately over the past couple years of people being like, take my stuff down, and, you know, attacking them legally for it, which, like, why do you want to do some of that? Especially in some of the cases where it's like, okay, this is stuff that we're never gonna see again. Like, I think that Super Mario 64 guide got pulled down, which is long out of print and never will be printed again in all likelihood. So, you know, just straight up erasing history on the parts of these MFers, right? Oh, and then you had the book publishers trying to take down their lending of digital books. Unfortunately, I think you'd have to like grab everything as one. Yeah, an external drive will work pretty good too. I've got a couple of external drives. In fact, I've got an external SSD, which is quite small. And by quite small, I mean it's 240 gigs. And I probably should back that up on there, and other like stuff that is at risk of, oh yeah, I can't multitask during this. Oops. So let me reposition my windows. I'd probably put that and some other stuff that demands backups like all together. Because yeah, SSD drives are a little bit less prone to failure, basically. Well, as I said, I already have the RHDN archive, so I could probably go through that if it's in there. Or if not, well, I'll find it anyway. Hey, look, it's the Green Devil again. So this guy is just absolutely hilariously piss easy if you're base. If you're Mega Man, it's a little bit tougher. Just by virtue of the fact that, like, you gotta jump. So calling it harder is a bit of a stretch, but it's conceivable to die, really. Oh yeah, for some reason this text has not changed. That's weird. I've seen translation patches that do change that. Anyway, I should note that this translation patch is a pre-patched ROM that I downloaded from Vim's Lair, so if there's anything wonky about that, blame them, which actually, I like the fact that they've got a pre-patched ROM sitting there. That's the sort of thing that I've been saying that all these, like, tech dudes need to just fucking do that. That they need to just have that available for not tech-minded people. But also they probably should have had more documentation and screenshots and crap, otherwise, you know, now you can see how well done it is. So, we have a kind of interesting branching stage select. This is a little bit different from your usual two-phase one that you had in 7, 8, and the Game Boy games, for example. Yeah, again, I've seen varying translation patches for this over the years of usually of quite good quality. Anyway, yeah, our branching stage select, we get 3 options, and when we beat bosses, we unlock more. So we start with Cold Man, Astro Man, and Ground Man. Yes, Astro Man is here for Mega Man 8. So there's sort of like a branching pathway between these guys, because Cold Man is very hard for Mega Man to fight because he can't aim his buster the way Bass can. And once you get to about the halfway part of Cold Man's fight, he starts releasing these slowing clouds that will, like, latch onto you and cause you problems. Bass can kill them very easily. Mega Man has a much harder time, which means that there's a pretty good chance that you'll get absolutely owned by his second phase, and really even his first phase is a bit of a bastard because you have to keep jumping over his ice wall attacks. So Ground Man is where I like to start for Mega Man. Oh, also there's a shop. You should take a look at that. Yeah, like I said, RHDN is in read-only mode at the moment. The archiving is like a preemptive thing of just in case things go sideways, which I think is a pretty good idea. So we can't really afford anything too big here, but what we've got available for us, we've got the Energy Balancer, which does the Energy Balancer stuff, the Exit Device, which does, you know, escape stage type of things. The Spike Saver, this will prevent us from getting spiked one time, which it's only 10 bolts, so it's quite affordable, but it is only a one-off immunity to spikes. The TV phone, this lets us call roll for help. We don't really need that. I think we are gonna kind of know how to beat the game. And the S shell, which I don't 100% know what S stands for. Surprise, maybe? Which will contain an item. It's like, again, kind of like the gift balls in Mega Man 8, for anyone who's played those. Like I said, a lot of this is kind of like a denatured Mega Man 8. This shop will expand once we hit, I think, 2 Robot Masters defeated, and then 5. And there'll be some nice stuff in there. Now over here we've got the database. And you can see Dr. Light's having a bit of an issue. We haven't collected any CDs yet, so sooner or later we'll fix that. It's probably not a bad idea to do that. I'm on SNES 9X today instead of BSNES, so we may have some inaccuracies. But that's because I've found that BeastNest doesn't really like working with streaming software sometimes, because if you change processes, I have encountered cases where it will just be like, okay, yeah, actually, I don't recognize your controls anymore. So you gotta restart the whole thing. And if I have to do that multiple times in the middle of a stream, you know, or more than once in the middle of a stream, really, I'll be a little bit unhappy, to put it nicely. Classic Twitch being awful. Well, it's somehow not my internet connection, because, yeah, I can see that I haven't dropped frames. Oh, nice, we got a heal. And I think I missed some other stuff. Yeah, this dark background sandfall will slow down your ability to jump properly, so it's kind of a one-way street, that part of the level. Excuse me. Base can climb it better. I think most folks generally agree that Base has like a better moveset than Mega Man. But Mega Man has his talents. That's a lot of frame loss. The hell are you doing there, Twitch? Other than screwing up everything. Yeah, one problem with it is that enemies often have so much iframes that Base can just like not feel like he gets anywhere against enemies sometimes. Also, it's really a shame that they didn't bind the dash to a single button for Mega Man, because they did that for Base, which allows him to get around faster, easier. I guess because Mega Man's slide can actually get him places, whereas Base's dash is just like, hey, here's a speed boost. Oh, also, by the way, no, we don't have a rush coil in this game. I don't even believe there's a rush jet in this game. There is a rush search, however, which we'll see eventually. I didn't even know that it counted that for you. But, yeah, that definitely sounds like Twitch is having some issues. Speaking of having some issues, yeah, there's some parts there where the worm mini-bosses graphics were kind of doing some weird stuff. I don't recall if that's an emulator issue or if that's an actual, like, real copy of the game issue. Because I don't have a copy of this on Super Nintendo / Super Famicom, wouldn't you know it? It's quite expensive to buy a legit copy, as far as I know. And I don't have a flash cart or a SNES EverDrive. I should look into seeing if I can find, like, a budget option for that, because, yeah, Ooh, okay. I gotcha. Not a thing that I knew about. Neat. Oh, wow, that's a lot of damage from that thing's body. Those little ads that this thing summons are pretty annoying, and yeah, I should also note that the amount of mini bosses in this game is quite large. Because we've got one here, we've got one in Cold Man's level, there's one in Dynamo Man's level, there's one in Magic Man's level. So that's already 4. Yeah, it's kind of rough. The sound for that is yanked from Mega Man 7, so It's not like they just completely botched on making a new sound effect. They just botched on choosing a good old one, that's all. Not that I'm sure that that helps, but, you know, history. I like telling people stuff about the games that I'm playing. I think stuff is interesting. And of course, this guy and his gigantic worm butt just blocked the shot. Well, there we go. Hey, look, it's finally a unique mechanic. This is not something that's taken from Mega Man 8. Not counting any of the mid-bosses. The worm one is unique, I believe. Actually, I think both the worms are unique things, but I will definitely be calling out the amount of stuff that's kind of yanked from Mega Man 8. An interesting thing that I remember reading in an interview was a suggestion. I think it was from a Capcom guy who was like, yeah, Mega Man 8, the PS1, that's for like older adults who afford their own game consoles. Mega Man and Bass and the Super Famicom, that's for the kids who are playing the hand-me-downs from the rest of their family. And it's kind of funny because this game is infamously hard on a level that Mega Man 8 simply is not. Speaking of assets stolen from Mega Man 8, these statue heads are taken out of Swordman's level. Okay, we're going to not have a very good time, that's for sure. I told you we weren't going to have a very good time. Unfortunately, I don't think that 1-up respawns. See, I would say, but also, they did pronounce it as Bass in Mega Man 8, right? Not that Mega Man 8 should be considered, like, a good exemplar of what is or is not canon in terms of any of that stuff, because remember that time that, you know, Dr. Light, Mega Man, we find the energy source, we'll find Dr. Wowie. Supposedly that's because they didn't even, like, properly translate this script when they handed it over to the voice actor. The voice actor who didn't know what Mega Man was. Which is probably a sentiment that sounds really weird to some people, but from what I've been led to understand, Mega Man was actually not, like, a big earner for Capcom in the way that we would think about it. Like, sure, Mega Man was a real part of Capcom's stuff. Oh, that is just not working for me. I have to do something different for that, I think. But, Double Transformers Headmasters. I want to say I'm familiar with this, but I could be wrong. Because I think my brother had that one on DVD way back in the early aughts. And I remember the guy because they end up on a planet called Nebulos, which is like, hey, yeah, that's a great name choice for just a space thing. Here's a space word attached to the planet, and the guy refers to it as Nebulon the first time. And I'm curious if I'm like thinking of the same one or not. Anyway, we're back here again. We're back in the room that I'm garbage at. Oh no, that's unsustainable. That's a big no-no. Translated unicorn before. Yeah. I'm not completely surprised by that. I want to see. We have 0 lives. So we're kind of going to be like in limbo here for a little bit, I think, until I actually manage to solve this puzzle. Which, hey, shoutouts to a Mega Man game with like a real puzzle, by the way. I mean, I'm sure that the actual puzzle here is like, hey, get good. In which case, well, we're in for a rough go. But yeah, there's a fairly good chance that we're gonna game over against the boss, and I'm gonna be a little bit sad because I'll have to do this again. Now, unfortunately, there's just no way to get under this spike wall. Which, you know, kind of begs the question of how do they expect you to get that one up? Or how do they expect you to get that, for that matter? I'm confused about that. I wonder if that's something you can do with the bases add-on. Or if, again, there's just some puzzle solution here that I don't know. Because I think the thing that is the ladder down that we can see sort of blocked in that first room just is basically a shortcut out of the rest of the path. And you clearly cannot go backwards through these stages just because of how all the gaps and stuff are set up. You know, there's that big drop at the end there. Okay, yeah, that thing doesn't want to get shot by that. That's unfortunate. I mean, realistically, yeah, me actually getting good at this is kind of unlikely because I've never been good at platformers. Oh, don't do that. That way madness lies. It seemed like that thing took 6 shots the last time, but, Oh, and it's coming in from the side. Oh, boy. This has me concerned. Okay, you want me to do what to get to that? Well, I guess I can use the spike cushion, which will let me get the other two. Anyway, I was wrong. I guess the down ladder takes you to that doorway. And here we've got a little area with these little drill bits that are tearing up this dirt. There's a hidden CD using Rush Search underneath that Sniper Joe in that area, and yes, you can lose the dirt and then lose the CD not permanently, but, you know, lose access to it for that run. Okay, this guy has attack patterns, all right. And we are not game overing. Okay, we've got one more shot at this before we have to redo the entire level, which is gonna kind of feel bad. Gotta remember, boss fights, avoid just charge spamming. That's the move I was waiting for him to do. That's actually a time when prepping a charge is okay. Alright, so there's the spread drill. Spread drill, I believe, is a move that kind of responds to your actions. Oh god. Oh, that was just bad play on my part. I deserved that a little bit. We're gonna... No, his attack patterns all kind of stay the same. It's just that, again, he kind of mixes things up in a way that is very hard to call. Like, maybe there are some attack pattern predictions out there that I don't know about offhand because I'm not, like, well versed in the run or anything. It looked like he got faster. I don't believe he did, but maybe he did and I didn't notice. Again, the big part with his drill press is that he will use it to try to hit you, like, as soon as you're underneath it. So it could just be that I was getting there faster. He did try to cut me off in mid-slide that one time, but of course that's because I was sliding in the first place. And it's time for us to eat a hit, because, yeah, getting away from that without taking any damage is just kind of hard. This room, however, is pretty free in terms of getting the no damage. Oh yeah, I gotta go all the way up to dodge the hit there. Yeah, he could dash through a lot of this stuff a lot more easily. Hello, Iron Fury. How you doing, Chief? Hope you're having a day that is better than the standard, because it seems like every time it seems like you've been having a rough go basically constantly. You know, sometimes life deals you a shitty hand, I guess. You know, what else can I say about that, right? Just yell, my leg, every time I come to this stream. I get you. Speaking of legs, I think this thing has 16 legs, which makes it too few to be a centipede or a millipede in name or otherwise. Because actual centipedes, despite the name, have like, I don't know, 22, I think, legs? I forget. I'm not some kind of bug expert. A fraudipede, yeah, there you go. Pick that up, and now we gotta not screw up here. Yeah, I'm definitely out here with like the masochism game of the Mega Man series, which I'm sure some people would argue that could be any Mega Man game, but this is a special level. Well, nothing is wrong with my leg. I don't 100% know how Dave's leg is doing, other than pain, but oh, that's just low. Come on. Take the iframes and go. That baseball player that hits a home run every time bad news happens. Oh boy. Yep. Alright. Remember to slide under the drill press. Alright, start charging a little bit. No, I said slide, game. That, I think, is just my bad use of the controller. Okay, and... yeah, crud vapors. Alright, let's try to suck less in this next fight. I mean, we'll be at full HP, but that's not what's gonna be the stumbling point. It's gonna be whether or not I actually don't, like, screw up on those inputs. Ugh! Yeah, see what I mean about how hard it is to predict how many of those jumps he does? And also, I'm just sucking at using the D-pad today, apparently, because, woo, boy. And the middle is, like, the worst place to be for that drill tank, I'm noticing, because it's really easy to just get your heel clipped by it. Like that. Yeah, you can tell I haven't played this one in a long time. But my affection for it is still quite strong. I like most things that have Mega Man in them. At least game-wise. They've kind of had a couple of duds here and there, but it is what it is. Ain't nobody batting 1,000, you know. I like Moogles, and I've seen some pretty shitty Final Fantasy products out there. Yeah, a little bit. I will grant you that. A lot of the music in this game, though, I think is pretty legit. There's some good arrangements and good tunes throughout, and we finally stopped fucking up for long enough to get the spread drill. And they give you a little demo. Sadly, no like button inputs or anything, but hey, it's a step in the right direction in terms of like being instructive about boss equipment and stuff like that. In Mega Man 11, they would have that little testing zone for you, which I think is a good idea. I have found some more bolts out there, Chief. Let's grab the energy balancer. Spread drill is an awful name. It's a choice, all right. So we've unlocked Tengu Man and Magic Man, and let me tell you, the drill is strong against Tengu Man for some reason. Spread drill sounds like something I'm probably not allowed to discuss on on Twitch, pardon me. Yeah, that's certainly pretty true, is that Base has, and I did discuss this a little bit earlier, Base has the better moveset. Most notably, I mean, give someone a double jump and they immediately become like, 10 times better as a platforming character. Ah, shit. I was hoping that balloons would respawn faster, but rip. Well, yeah, I was gonna say, isn't what's his name the guy who owns and operates Twitter? Hey, we got a CD, by the way. Yay, I fulfilled my quota. Isn't, and yes, obviously I know his name. I'm just trying to avoid mentioning it because, part of it being at least partially a gag, but, I was gonna say, didn't he say sometime recently-ish that he was going to be a little bit less restrictive of prawn on Twitter? But I digress. Although, goodness knows how well that is, he's doing that, because, hey. We also gotta remember that the guy is nuts. Giving SMB2 Japan / Lost Levels thing. Yeah, that's kind of true. Yeah, we're just gonna take that because I played that like shit, and that's the long and short of it. I played that like shit. And that time I was too slow. Again, I'm just playing like crap. Sometimes I gotta analyze it out loud because it helps me remember that I'm playing like dog. Played SMB Lost Levels again recently. Oh my god, you make decisions, alright, there, Dave. I'll read the rest of the message in a second once we get past the auto-scroll room. Once I'm done being trash at everything. Alright, I'll pause, see if your feelings on it still stand, and yeah, it's easily the worst of the classic Mario games. It sure is. That's, Two USA is a very interesting game. I think it's a pretty neat idea, but we all kind of know how people get whenever a game is different. They complain. I think some people, in terms of like video game fans, just really like the idea of having something to get mad about. And so they end up not giving some games a fair chance. Also, here's a unique feeling for a Mega Man game. I'm fucking lost. This game does a lot of, like, odd things with design, most notably large rooms like that, where it's very easy to get incredibly lost. And it's like, hey, that sounds like an interesting idea at first, and then you play it, and you go, oh, right, that's why this wasn't a thing in previous Mega Man games. Yeah, I think on some level that things are kind of getting a little bit better about that. Somewhat, anyway. Oh, geez, I actually was safe there, and I re-jumped out of the blind drop. That definitely the very early period of the mainstream internet kind of was a really shitty place. And I think that that's something that a lot of people forget. That you have to remember how much a lot of, like, old communities were basically operated on piss and vitriol. And that carried over very much to a lot of early YouTube. And again, I think things are getting better, but truth be told, not by enough. Like, I think if you just made a channel just marking out about your favorite shit, and that was the majority of the content, that you would probably still be perceived negatively by a lot of these people because, like, oh yeah, you're too nice or something kind of thing. But then there's also, and again, I just think that a lot of that era where stuff was like, hey, here's a low budget grenade man. Words. I'm bad at words, for anybody who is still curious. Still not good at the whole words thing. Like, there's this certain abiding love for the era of like old something awful and stuff like that that I don't understand, because a lot of the kind of like just absolutely, you know, nasty shit in that sort of period. Although, yeah, it is kind of true that like a lot of the, you know, more positive folks tend to have just a smaller community and nobody really, you know, at the very least, there is one obvious good side that I will say, and that is that this concept of just like raiding people seems to be very much a thing of the past. Outside of a few select, we're not even gonna screw with this thing, because maybe we will actually, because there we go. I'm also thinking now that you mentioned that, I'm like, wasn't there something in that one particular thing that I'm thinking of? Again, I don't know if it's the one that you were specifying earlier, where they confused Galvatron and Megatron's name, which I get it, but when you're the professionals who are responsible for creating the actual thing, maybe you gotta be a little bit clearer about that and, like, I don't know, pay for a second take. But yeah, on the other hand, I do think that there is, you know, that there's been some turnaround on a couple of the bad takes. Like, I think it is now no longer considered to be, like, cringe to like Sonic, for example. Whereas there was a period where a lot of people were like, Sonic bad. And truth be told, a lot of it was just grounded in shitting on autistic people, but I digress. So, yeah, I suppose that the internet is getting better about certain things, but there's definitely some parts where it's still... Maybe it's because it's getting better that the nastiness feels like it's thrown into a sharper relief, and it feels like it's worse because it stands out so much. Oh, did I screw this up? Yeah, I mean, again, there's worthy cause to look at the Sonic games of the era and go like, these are questionable. These are not of good quality. There we go. That's rough. Yeah. Sonic 06 was fresh at the time, and Sonic 06, I've played through Sonic 06. It's, well, how can I put it diplomatically? That whatever inspiration it had was buried under the fact that it was very obviously rushed to make a holiday deadline. And it's a real shame that it ended up being associated with an anniversary too, because that's the other thing you have to remember, is that I believe Sonic 06 was intended to be a 15th anniversary celebration. Sonic 06, mind you. Sonic 06! Sonic 06 is still loading even now. Hey, I played the PS3 version, and you're even more correct about that. Here we are at the end of the level, by the way. What'd you miss? You missed me screwing up at a platforming level a couple times. Which, I think also that, yeah, Sonic 06, I mean, we also got to remember that it's kind of bookended, too, that, you know, by Shadow the Hedgehog, which actually, you know, Shadow the Hedgehog may not necessarily be the best playing game the world has ever seen. We're going to take a death here in a second after I try to show off some attacks, which he's doing like nothing. Oh god, we were out of lives. Well, that's slightly unfortunate. Let's try not sucking this time, but that might be a little bit rough because I've probably already forgotten 90% of the level at this point. Anyway, yeah, Sonic 06, bookended also by Shadow the Hedgehog, and Shadow the Hedgehog, regardless of game quality, Shadow the Hedgehog has like always been considered some of the cringiest shit in the entire franchise, which I think is probably unfair. And I'll go to bat for Shadow the Hedgehog as being a game that nicely-ish explored the idea of Shadow branching out into his own character. And then on the other hand, you have Sonic Unleashed right after Sonic 06, which Sonic Unleashed is a fuck-off game. I'm trying to tell a story here, you bastard. Sonic Unleashed is, Sonic Unleashed is definitely a decision. We'll say that. Somebody at Sega was, you know, making some interesting decisions with a lot of their legacy franchises, starting in the mid-aughts into the early 2010s, really. And Sonic Unleashed was certainly one of them. And yes, I would say that, well, we can talk about Sonic Forces in a couple minutes. I would say that Sonic is the more extremely polarized, pardon me, of the two genres, because I think that when Sonic has like absolutely peak games, it is probably a little bit better than some of the best Mario games, which, you know, that might be considered sacrilegious in some circles, but I like Sonic 2 more than I like, you know, SMB 3. I'll say as an example there. Mid-Sonic games are also frequently the sort of thing where it's like, okay, this jackknife's really hard between being very good and playing as Knuckles in SA2. But when Sonic is bad, boy oh boy, that's a big you done fucked up moment. But I mean, that's kind of Sega in general. Sonic game that came after Colors, was that Generations or was that Sonic Lost World? Sonic Generations is pretty good. But yeah, again, I think that Shadow the Hedgehog is one of those things where it's like, Shadow the Hedgehog is a worthwhile stop in the idea of like doing a character study of Shadow. But nobody except for an absolute fucking lunatic like me is gonna do that. I don't even think that the folks at Sega would delve that deep. But also, I'm not necessarily certain that they were ever thinking a whole lot in the 2000s other than, hey, what makes us money? And by 2000s, I mean like after 02, basically. Because we got to remember that at the very least, PSO was like inspired and came from a place of, yes, here I go again. you can all make fun of me if you want. That, you know, Phantasy Star Online was legitimately a really good idea, and that I don't think it was entirely trend chasing, because hey, extremely early console MMO. And MMORPGs were becoming a thing back then, but, you know, it's not as saturated of a market as it was back then, and PSO definitely had an influence on the genre as we know it. Honestly, me too. Unfortunately, Ryoko Kodama is dead, so I'm not putting too much of a stock in if they, you know, suddenly came out with, hey, yeah, we're announcing Phantasy Star 5. I'll be like, oh, put it back. But I would absolutely vibe with a regular RPG of the Phantasy Star franchise. Because, hey, yeah, they're actually pretty good, and not just in terms of the storyline, which I actually, you know, kind of, again, I feel very positively about most of the Master System / Genesis era Phantasy Star storylines. Yeah, I could believe that, which would make me extremely concerned because, again, I feel that Phantasy Star was kind of groundbreaking in how it used female characters, and Atlas and how they've dealt with women, this may not matter to everybody, but it would to me, and so that's the perspective that I'm working from. So if somebody wants to say, well, it wouldn't bug me, that's okay too. That's your opinion. Regardless, I would be guarded about it, we'll say. But I wouldn't necessarily complain about its existence. I'd be willing to give it a shot. I just might not pay full price for it, but that's video gaming in general because, you know, shit's expensive. And maybe it wouldn't quote unquote cost so much, you know. Executives need to once in a while not take such gigantic bonuses is basically what I'm saying, but I digress. Yeah, and like I said, that's entirely fair. That's a personal matter. And yeah, I would certainly be interested in a more traditional, like, turn-based Phantasy Star game, although, I mean, turn-based RPGs are kind of having a bit of a rough patch lately, but I think a large part of that is because I keep looking over at what FF is doing, and they're like, oh, turns, that's, you know, nobody will play something with turns in it. Anyhow, let's take a look at the shop. It has not upgraded yet, so I guess it's after 3 bosses that it upgrades? Anyway, we're gonna go in here. So, before we can enter King's Castle, we have a chamber here with 8 sub-chambers that's basically like, hey, do you know how to use these weapons? This is for the lightning bolt, which we don't have yet. This is for the ice wall, which we also don't have yet. This one, I believe this is spread drill, so I think we can actually do this. Oh shit, SNK revived Fatal Fury and Art of Fighting. Neat. When we break one of those crystals, we get a big bolt that is worth 100? 100, yes. Okay. Now, Tengu Blade, we can see that it has this reflecting property that they don't show us in the demo. It also has like a dashing slash attack to it. So it's kind of like Charge Kick, along with your other melee attacks from Days of Yore, plus a little bit extra. Tengu Blade is legitimately like a decent weapon. Oh, nice. That's pretty cool. I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see that SNK is like committed to being a real company. Not a one franchise company. There we go. That's a little less rude. Anyhow, to answer an earlier question about isn't Tengu Man one of the hardest bosses? And the answer there is no. Also, these little guys will eat our bolts for some reason. As far as Tengu Man being hard goes, I mean, he's decently so, but there's so much worse that we're gonna face throughout this game. In fact, after we beat this guy, we kind of go into a run of two really disgustingly hard bosses. Astro Man is pretty rough, but Dynamo Man, who's the guy who comes afterwards, Dynamo Man is one of the two absolutely infamous robot masters from this game. I mean, it could just be like floating around somewhere in a library, a digital library rather, for one of your systems, or even Steam, and you're just like, well, I've not had any real incentive to play this because it's Sonic Lost World. And Sonic Lost World is one that's kind of considered to be like a very mid, not even aggressively mid, which makes quite a change for the Sonic franchise, but just kind of like, meh, it's there. Yeah, that is definitely kind of an odd choice. That health pickup could not have come at a better time, really. But I guess they just were being rushed or something. I think it's interesting that it's those two, but so unsurprisingly, because I've actually beaten Mega Man 8, I'm pretty sure this stuff is in the credits for MM8. Fuck! That's not what it is, but yeah, so there were a couple of Robot Masters in Mega Man 8. I don't know a ton about the Robot Master design contests that ever happened with the Mega Man franchise. But a couple of them in 8, there were designs that were specifically circulated of like skeletons and, basic designs that they wanted entrants to design around. So you had like the 2-head Robot Master, which ended up being Searchman. The 2-part Robot Master, which was Swordman. You had the long arm guy who ended up being Clown Man. And I think one other. And that was a thing that it's like, I don't remember if the others are like contest winners. Maybe they all are, and just like those specific ones were chosen to be part of a skeleton, and they were like, hey, yeah, we have space for some more out there original designs too. But it's very interesting because I'm pretty sure that neither of those, well, I know Astro Man was definitely not one of them. But I also am fairly confident that Tengu Man was not one of them either. Assuming that I have forgotten any from the list. So I think it's a thing of note, perhaps, that it was none of the Robot Masters that used those skeleton designs, which is why I'm like, okay, were some of these just like internal designs and the others were contests or what? But I do agree that I would love to have seen like newer PS1 styled sprites for some of the older Robot Masters. And I say it that way to be like, hey, yes, we are including the possibility of... And not in a good way. Yeah, I mean, it fits with the vibes of the level, but that doesn't necessarily sound as like I'm, you know, giving you guys a positive license to do that. Amusement parks exist for some reason. Anyway, yeah, I phrased it as like, you know, PS1 style and not just updated because, I mean, I would have been okay with them recycling robots from even Mega Man 7, which had a much different art style from this game. Well, much different might be a bit of a stretch, but certainly a different art style. And enough of one to be worthy of remarking on. Okay, it's boss time, and we're gonna take an L here because we still have a life, and we'll just game over when we enter Astro Man stage. Yeah. Oh shit, he has a life drain effect. I forgot that his card can steal your health. What a big old butt this guy is. It will not surprise you at all that the best way to deal damage to Magic Man is to hit him at melee range with your cutter. You know, we're out here cutting the deck. Something bad puns. Really, I'm pretty sure that a lot of Mega Man actually just runs on that, and some of it doesn't necessarily translate that well. But yeah, notice how much easier that was when we actually had the real weapon. And also when he didn't immediately throw the card at us, so we had an attack pattern that I could dodge better. Centaur Man in this art style would be pretty rad. And we get the magic card. Get equipped with Black Lotus. Mega Man, did you blow our entire budget again? Let's go get some more bolts. Ah, fuck, that one's for the remote mine. That one sucks a lot. That's for copy vision, I believe. Because it's green, and that's what color that move is. Excuse me. That, unsurprisingly, is for the wave burner, which means that the last one down here should be for the magic card. And yeah, the magic card is sort of like a synthesis of a couple of concepts. It's like the Shadow Blade, but more, and also you can't point it in as many directions. Which means it's like a better ring boomerang. It has better range than the Shadow Blade, but not enough to be like Metal Blade. Yeah. Wow, they've done this weapon type like a million times. I've got a chunk, alright. Yeah, absolutely. And then in Mega Man 3, they decided to have two descendants of it, one of which was Shadow Blade, which is pretty alright. And the other one was fucking Needle Cannon, which is a really funny weapon to me because it's just, hey, yeah, here's the thing that shoots forwards. Just shoots forwards, doesn't even pierce as far as I know. And it's just 3 shots. It's just your Mega Buster, but with more damage. Okay, so we've got the weakness monitor. We don't really need this because I know all the boss weaknesses except for the special ones. The castle ones, rather. But I can look those up, I guess. Super Recover. You'll recover more energy from capsules. That's a pretty good thing to have. Critical Boost. When low of energy, your offense will increase. This could be quite helpful, so we'll probably pick this up at some point. Auto Charge. Your Buster will automatically charge. Might be handy. In fact, I may very well pick this up once we start getting into the refight territory. But maybe not. I don't know if it would be good there. Eddie. Eddie will bring us some items. I don't think this is like an every level thing. I think it's a one-off, but I could be wrong. For now, we're gonna pick up Super Recover. And Eddie, and we have enough money to get Critical Boost. Now this time he's telling us to select our stuff from our menu, and I'll take a look at that in a second after I dive off a cliff against Astroman's level. I probably did bonk my mic there, I'm sorry. Yeah, because right now my mic is just on the metal base, because my mic arm, like a screw on it broke, and I haven't bothered to either repair it or find a cheap replacement. But yeah, yes, a lot of the weapons in Mega Man 11 are really good. I mean, honestly, I think all praise got to go to the acid barrier, if nothing else, because they made a shield that's good. I mean, they've been trying a couple of times too. The junk shield is pretty all right, but acid barrier is just like, hey, I'll take this. Yeah, Mega Man 11 can get pretty rough. All right, so down here in this second row, we have a bunch of things that we can collect. We can select what to use, and in this case, we're gonna leave Super Recover on basically the whole time. I love this stage theme, by the way. It's got this great sort of ambiance atmosphere to it. Really sort of communicates like the distance and far awayness of space. Meanwhile, anybody remember what Astroman's theme was in Mega Man 8? Because let me tell you, it's nothing like this. Yeah, Leaf Shield's quality is more a consequence of the game in question. I will agree with that. Okay, we're switching back to the Mega Buster. I just wanted to do that to get rid of the hit crocodile guy that probably has a much more sensible name than that. Yeah, a big part of that is that, well, first of all, you could fire a Leaf Shield, and second of all, it didn't break when it was in air. It still really only blocked one hit. Could you launch the Star Crash? I think you could, but I have a feeling that it, like, broke instantly in air, too. And then you had Skull Barrier, which Skull Barrier just sucked. Skull Barrier blocked exactly one hit, and you couldn't launch it at all. I want to say Plant Barrier was also a one-hit blocker. Don't remember for sure. I remember... It would be very funny if I said I remember and then I fucked up this basic Simon Says room. Yeah, it's only one cycle. Pardon me. Mostly I remember fighting Tomahawk Man with Plant Barrier and never really having enough to actually do it. Well, I think it's more that other shield weapons were just disgustingly expensive. Again, see Plant Barrier and Skull Barrier. And Star Crash, too, for that matter. Like, in general, Mega Man 2 weapons were mostly pretty economical, except for, like, 2 of them that are both kind of infamous for their own reasons. Those being the Time Stopper and the Crash Bomber. Oh, no, the Simon Says stuff is pretty easy. We get one more Simon Says segment later in this level, and it's only 5 jumps. It is in a more complicated room, though, so give it a little bit of credit, I suppose. Also, hey, look, it's our favorite Yoku blocks. Using, once again, a sound effect pulled straight from Mega Man 7. Which is a little bit on the gutless side, but I suppose that it could be worse. Yeah. Oh god, I have to go all the way into the one that starts in the spikes, don't I? Oh shit, I jumped super early there. Well, when I say Crash Bomber and I talk about how infamous it is, keep in mind that I'm specifically referring to the Crash Bomber boss being the reason for that, because that was a design decision, all right, that, yeah. Yes, exactly. Okay, so I gotta... This is like a pattern I gotta learn also, because if I was gonna say if I... Fuck! D-pad! What happened? What, did I touch up a little bit too much? It just stopped taking the left input. And I was still holding the button. Yeah, it's never a good time. I think I may have to go into my emulator settings and say, hey, yeah, I need to define these diagonals because SNES 9X is designed well, I guess. Again, I'm using this instead of BSNES because I've had some streaming issues with, or some issues using BSNES properly with streaming software. Yeah, the X series cutting these is like probably one of the better things the X series has done, which is saying a lot because X in general is a very good series of games. And I like most of everything in the first few Mega Man X games. Like the first 4 Mega Man X games, Jesus, that's tight. The first 4 Mega Man X games, just in general, are just really great all around. After that, they sort of get, well, we've seen me play 6 and 7. Mega Man X5 is one that a lot of people still think is pretty okay, but I think it's not good at all, really. X4, oh geez, I got bumped by the spawning block there, I'm pretty sure. Let's put it this way, X5 is not X6, is the big takeaway here. X8, I'll be honest with you, X8 is the one that I will, like, go against the grain on pretty hard and say that I don't think X8 is a very good game. At the very least, part of that may just be that, like, the first 4 games are all extremely good. And also that the 3D thing is just... 3D platformers are a very hard sell for me in general. It is probably not worse than X6 and definitely not worse than X7, so we'll give it that. And also they had some creativity in terms of the design. You know, X7 also was not an interesting way of trying to bring the concept to 3D either. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. It's just that that's not exactly a very high bar. All right, now if I can just, like, not screw this up. I mean, this we won't screw up because there's, like, easy enough slots to jump into for that, so... Alright. Fill up. I'm not going to need all 28 of those cards if I even get to the boss. Which is still technically a thing that I have to be concerned about not happening because I am that bad at this game. Thanks for noticing. Wait. But yeah, they got rid of the block puzzles in the X series, which is great. Because I don't know why they kept those in the Mega Man series, the main Mega Man series, rather. Well, that's alright. You go ahead and get some sleep. Like, again, on top of it, too, I think that... What the fuck is happening there? I think I'm getting stuck on something up there. Because I had that just dead on, and I saw myself clipping into the ceiling. That's... Something is off in that particular spot. So I'm probably actually going to break code a little bit here, and I'm going to save state for that because... That looked weird. Something is up there. And I don't mean that in the sense of, like, I can actually get there. Is it? It's not a secret drop or anything, is it? Okay, yeah, this is just a... We're gonna try to avoid using that, but again, if that happens again... Okay, yeah, no secret drop. See, everything's fine. Just like, what the hell happened, though? Mid, left, right, left, mid, and this I'm pretty sure is actually the last room of the level. Like, this seems familiar. Okay, no, not quite. We're close, though. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. All right, and we're at full health. Oh, also there's refills here. This is like the most telegraphed boss weakness notification I've seen in a while. Since we're at full, we're not even going to bother taking a dive here. We're just gonna Gonna start chucking some cards at this guy, and I might have been a little bit wrong about not needing the full clip against this guy. But mostly it's like, hey, he's taking very little damage from this. Fuck. Hey, Lears, how's it going, Chief? Oh, yeah, nice slide game. I was trying there, but the game kind of just doesn't seem to like those. Or maybe I just suck at inputs. That's always the possibility. But yeah, Astro Man kind of sucks as a fight. I did say earlier that he was one of the hardest in the game, so yeah. And we get the copy vision. You can't charge during the copy vision, you just use regular buster shots, but the copy vision projects a projection of you that just auto fires. It's good for situations where you need to shoot something on both sides of you, which is quite rare, but it does exist. And it can bait certain attacks, which, spoiler alert, is going to be useful during the final boss. Which means I won't remember it. Alright, so by defeating Astro Man, we've unlocked, well, technically we've unlocked Tengu Man, but we had him already. We've unlocked Pirate Man, and we've unlocked Dynamo Man. Now, you can probably tell, electricity, water, these certainly would go in a certain order. Pirate Man is not even weak to Dynamo Man's weapon or to Astro Man's weapon. He's weak to Burner Man's weapon because this game is very silly. And we don't unlock Burner Man until we beat Cold Man. But Cold Man is weak to Dynamo Man's lightning bolts, so let's go and see about that. And this guy is infamous. And some of you probably already know why, and I'm not going to explain why. If not, until we get to the actual fight. And no, it's not for that bit of lag that the stage causes. You don't remember? Well, he does something that's unique for a Mega Man boss. We'll just say that. That's also entirely fair because, hey, this game is kind of rough. Again, this is the masochism game in the series. Perhaps as much or more than Mega Man 1. Which, again, anybody who's ever played Mega Man 1 knows that's saying a lot. Yeah, exactly. See? You prefer to play games that are good, or at least not as painful as this. Ooh, got that in one try. It's probably not necessary for me to collect all those CDs. Nobody's gonna kick in for me to go and, like, collect 100 CDs in this game. And if you do, you're a freak, but I digress. Ah! Crap. Well. Again, entirely fair. Yeah, to get up there, we would need Ice Wall, so... Brandon was like, yeah, where's your Rush Coil now? And it's still not existent, that's for sure. Well, you see, stuff like Kaizo Pokemon hacks are a test of strategy also. And you can make a test of strategy that is a little bit questionable that is usually still defeatable, whereas if a test of skill is bad, that can cause a problem that is not necessarily readily surmountable. And there is some bad fucking design in this game. I will be the first to admit it. And again, realistically, I probably should not consider this game to actually be all that good. But I have a lot of nostalgia for it because, as I've probably explained before, I remember playing this on way back when Z-SNES was the emulator that was the go-to back in the day. Because I was like, oh, so cool, this is a Mega Man game that wasn't released in America. And I was a huge Mega Man fan back then, and still am today for unsurprising reasons. I have a lot of like weirdly positive memories of Mega Man games. We never owned any of them because the first game console that I can remember the family owning was a Genesis. A family friend had an NES, but we didn't do anything with, words. She didn't have any of the Mega Man games. Okay, so this mini-boss is a bit of an odd one and a bit of a laggy one, as you can tell. To deal with it, you don't have to kill the little eyeball pod things. You just have to kill off the thing in the middle. And it starts doing this laser beam thing that is a very tight dodge when you're Mega Man, but is pretty easy when you're base. Yeah, so the main parts of my Mega Man journey here that I can remember and I will explicate on are: one, I remember when I was very young. I don't remember how young, but it was not old, we'll say. You know, early single-digit ages. We were staying in a motel where they had an NES. I want to say that the reason why we were at this was because my mom was too drunk to drive home from a Renaissance fair in Wisconsin. My mom used to be a very heavy drinker and went to a lot of Ren fairs. And so that is not necessarily an irregular occurrence. Anyway, they had an NES, and one of the games we played on it was Mega Man 3, and I really loved that game. Your dad did... Well... I'll be honest, I don't know a good follow-up to that, but, yeah. At the very least, good on my mom for not driving drunk. It's like, what do you say to something like that? Like, I hope it helped with whatever problem he had that he perceived crack would help with? Question mark? You know, I hope it didn't make him a worse person when he was high. Tell all... I bet you fucking could, dude. Everything I've known about you has generally suggested that you've had a rough go of shit throughout your entire life. So, anywho, yes, that's like one of the main things that I remember about Mega Man and like any connection to my... I'm gonna go look up this mini-boss's weakness real quick. Give me a sec. The other thing that I recall off the top of my head is that my brother had a copy of Mega Man X for the PC for the DOS version of it. It came with a unique video game controller. And that the DOS version of X, in addition to having music that is a little bit knocked down compared to the SNES version, it did away with the ride armors, which is an interesting thing. I think some people would be like, yeah, that's not good. Personally, I'm not terribly fucked either way about that, because it's like, hey, yeah, ride armors, you know, that's just kind of like, that's just like center PC design that doesn't necessarily make the game better or worse, in my opinion. Anyhow, the move cannon has, it takes a lot of damage from Tengu Blade, and also takes a lot of damage from the large spread drills, but we gotta hit the thing at melee range. Oh yeah, the green ooze paralyzes you instead of dealing damage, and it's the homing shots that are supposed to actually hurt you. God, I really wish I had some better, some damage output or some health here. All right, we're gonna turn on C boost and hope that maybe this gives us a little bit of an edge, and it does not. It took you to Funko-Land. Oh my god, Funko-Land. Oh boy. Oh, I remember Funko-Land somewhat. Man, whatever happened to just game stores from a quality perspective, you know? Other than the fact that GameStop bought out all the chains, I mean. So now all you've got is, if you want any decency, it's just mom and pops, and those disappear. And of course, the retro market is kind of dog. So on top of that, you know, that there's not going to be a great market for a lot of that stuff. You know, no matter where you go, you're going to get fucked, basically, is what I'm trying to say. One of my friends runs or works at the very least, a retro game store in the Chicagoland area called Retro Dimension. And he posts pretty regularly about stuff that they get in there, and I see a lot of it, and it's like, wow, this is really interesting. I wish the prices wouldn't break backs, right? You know, I wish the prices wouldn't give me the Iron Sheik treatment. On the other hand, you got a bunch of speculators and a large amount of collectors, so it's like, hey, yeah, I may not have necessarily contributed too heavily to any of those prices, but I do gotta take a little bit of hit of blame on some of it by virtue of being a minor retro collector myself. And of course, I kind of live out in the sticks right now, so if I were to like go and blow what small amount of money I wanted on retro games, I'd have to do everything through ordering on the internet, and that is usually a bit of a mess. I've had good results the last few times I've ordered retro games from folks on the internet, excuse me, but prices are, well, again, kind of monstro, and shipping may end up being a thing with some of them too. Especially if you're trying to get anything that's like an import, God help you there. Specifically recently, I was looking at the price on picking up a Game Boy Light, which, for those of you who don't know what a Game Boy Light is, the Game Boy Light is, well, it's a Game Boy that has a backlit screen, basically. just a kind of a generic Game Boy Pocket. It uses AA's instead of AAA's. It was released only in Japan. I actually used the Game Boy Light color palette as my, for all of my like interstitial screens on the stream, because I genuinely like the way it looks. But yeah, God, I can only imagine the light attachment for the Game Boy. There were quite a few of those over the years. Speaking of which, I probably still have my worm light from my GBC, and it might still work, actually. But yeah, this was a specific thing. It was a console release. If I recall correctly, it's got this, most of them have this like kind of silvery sparkle case to them that looks pretty nice too. And generally, I have this weird like attachment to a thing that I've never owned just because I think it's neat. Also, this level is fucking hard. I'm sure you've all noticed that already by the way that I'm dying a lot. And there's a lot of things that kill you and a disgustingly obnoxious mini-boss that will pale in comparison to the actual boss of the level. Yeah, this game is incredibly hard, and I gotta wonder why it's this goddamn difficult. Like, yeah, Mega Man games are not easy, but this is next level. Like I said, I think it's harder than Mega Man 1, and Mega Man 1 has a huge reputation for brutality. Well, yeah, but there's definitely some parts of it that are kind of trash as base, too. But yeah, several parts of it are just like, hey, yeah, Mega Man is not built for this. And again, you give a guy a double jump, and you've massively improved his capabilities just in general. I feel like double jumps are a common enough platforming thing that they kind of get taken for granted a little bit in some instances. Like, think about, I guess Vector Man would be a good one to think about. Imagine Vector Man without his double jump, and just how much more of a pain in the butt that entire game would be. I'm trying to farm up some HP real quick. I probably should have left the super recover on when I picked up that big capsule, but I'm dumb. I have critical boost on right now. Which reminds me, I should probably switch that off after the mini boss because it doesn't do anything for you of real note in the main level. But yeah, I'm just kind of like, I really like a lot of retro stuff and old technology in general. I've got a VCR hanging out on my desk, by the way. It's hooked up to my composite video selector. So I can literally watch videos through my VCR through OBS on my computer. Or I could rip the contents of them if I feel like, which, you know, I suppose I should do that with a couple of things here and there. I don't have anything particularly obscure or rare in the VHS department, but yeah. Game, can you, like, cough up some health? Because I'm probably going to need all of it for this mini-boss. And if I job when this thing is at one hit, I will be most displeased, because then there will have gone all of my weapon energy. Ah, my frame rate. It's not even worth going for. I just pick stuff up on reflex, really. And of course, we took a hit trying to get this, so we're doing even worse now. Good. I think the game knows that I need health, and is just like, well, what if we didn't instead? And I really don't appreciate that very much. Down. The Cryon Conquest. Oh my god, I know about the Cryon Conquest. I know about this game. I was going to talk about the Cryon Conquest before I decided to reboot my YouTube channel and focus on story stuff instead of like game reviews, because one, it's a Victo Kai game, so there's already a connection to SOS, which is one of the last games that I played on there. And I was pretty bad at SOS, but I digress. And two, just because the Cryon Conquest is generally considered to be an incredibly brazen ripoff of Mega Man from a gameplay perspective. Of course, what would have been considered a brazen ripoff in the late 80s, early 90s, you know, nowadays we have other instances of games being brazen ripoffs that can get away with being considered like homages and stuff. Clears, I'm not playing this on GBA. It's not really the NA version. You silly. The game is just not giving me any health. Wow. Pause. I'm switching back over to Super Recover right now. Just hoping to encourage it. I can't possibly discourage it. Oh, that's a small pellet. It gave us what looked like a pretty good chunk. Hey, wow, that actually worked somehow. All right, spread drill. And we'll turn on critical boost, because again, we may as well. It might give us an edge. It probably won't, but at this point, I'm willing to try things enough that, yeah. Yeah, see, I mean, how are you supposed to get out of this without getting hit? This is legitimately like a very special kind of shit design that, okay, yeah, maybe it should be hard to get away from certain things without taking a hit, but it shouldn't be absolutely impossible. And yeah, that's true. I did remember that you had a charge shot in Cryon Conquest. I did not remember that you had 8-way shooting, though. So yeah, that'll probably go on the list of things for me to actually properly check out at some point. Incidentally, I seem to recall having looked for a cartridge of Cryon Conquest and the prices being, well, like your standard retro game prices, you know. Ooh, it sounds like I got a 1-up out of that. That's very nice, because Dynamo Man sucks. A lot. Just like his stage, to be honest with you. Fuck. I was scared there. I thought I was dead. All right, can we Tengu Blade through these? Yes. Can't use continues in the US one. That's ridiculous. That's just needlessly mean. Oh, by the way, yeah, that happens. That CD. Yeah, getting that CD is very hard. If I do end up getting it, it will just be by random chance. This is part of why CDs are a donation incentive. It's because, yeah! Nice, we got a 1-up. That would be pretty good if it had one. I'd say I'd be surprised if there wasn't, because, like, how hard can it possibly be? But if the US version removed whole cutscenes, then, I mean, yeah, that's kind of... I should have just gunned it there, because... Yeah, we got plenty of lives, though. We're in shockingly good shape for that. Nice. The boots are here too. Oh, come on! That's... I must have had way too much left momentum going off the thing. It did look like I was a little far over, but... That's still upsetting me, as that's a level of precision that's like... a little much by Mega Man standards, really. By the way, if you have the fire weapon, you can light this room up while the spark is going around. Temporarily, mind you, but it is a thing you can do. So that's kind of neat. It sped up as soon as I touched back down. Yeah, and we're back down to 2 lives. I hate this level so much. So just let me see the edge. Oh, boy. These ones are free, we may as well. They have like a 0% chance of having a 1-up, but they might. Oh, I get it, because he's Rock Man. Fuck! Really? This is just falling apart so badly. Yeah, I'm down to 0 lives. I'm gonna have to refight that fucking mini boss. This is... This level is asinine. Like, who decided any of this, really? I hope they got fired and never worked another job in this industry ever again. Because, Jesus H, tap dancing, Christ. This is so awful. I remember most of this, by the way. I just don't remember it being such dog shit to play. Nearly, but like, I don't remember the level of exacting jumps involved, for example. Oh, I might start save stating because this boss is a real doozy, but originally the only reason I was doing any save states was because the game was BSing me a little bit, but we got past it, and I think it's just like janky geometry. So I am going to save state before this, and at the very least we will explore this boss. And then, you know, do whatever, basically. Decide what makes sense at the time. Now, as you can see, that's like nothing we got done, but we did get a good amount of damage in there. I'm gonna reload, and we're gonna do a little bit more with the old boy, and I'm just doing that to like force the RNG seed around. And we can see if we can see some more of Dynamo Man's attack pattern. And in particular, if we can see the thing that he is most infamous for. And yes, if I end up winning the fight while save stating, I am absolutely just going to take that as a legitimate win. And anybody who complains can just eat me, you know? Now, see, first of all, how copy vision is sucking in the target shots. Burner Man stage is pretty bad. Where I was save stating was in Astro Man stage because there was a place where I was like getting my head stuck in the geometry. This stage is genuinely awful. It is far too loaded with garbage. And Dynamo Man is just the cherry on the shit sundae, which we'll have a better look at why that's the case once I can stop fucking everything up here. Because, like, on top of all of this, just like the dark sections, the rapidly becoming untenable conveyor belts in that one part. And the fact that somebody was like, oh yeah, hey, we designed this move cannon mini boss. Let's put that there. And it's baffling to me that they put all of their bad decisions in one place. Like, genuinely, was nobody asking anyone else on the design team any questions at all during the process of building this game? In fact, maybe we should watch the credits when we finally beat this, so that way we can see if there's more than one level designer even. There may not have been. I wish. At least compared to this, I certainly wish. Do you want to, like, get on the ladder? Yeah, okay, some parts of how this controls are just a little bit too exacting. Is another thing that I'm noticing a lot as I play this, which is something that I haven't really noticed before. Maybe because I think traditionally I've like always played this with the keyboard, which sounds absolutely insane, but I don't know, maybe it just like played better with the keyboard somehow. Because of the more definite controls or something. Maybe it's just always been this bad and I've never really paid a lot of attention. Maybe I've just gotten worse at video games as I've gotten older. I mean, that's definitely true, but also just I don't remember this controlling in quite a stiff manner. Oh no, we're on the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom version. I wouldn't touch the GBA version of this with a 10-foot pole. It just kind of looks and sounds not good compared to the SNES version. Because I mean, the GBA was to the SNES kind of what the Game Boy was to the NES. But with even more of a specifications knockdown, aside from the fact that the GBA could do color, but yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not that evil. I'm not that much of a horrible person, I think. I like to think I have some semblance of decency. At least about some things. God, yeah, we should probably just continue to ignore the existence of Star Ocean 5. We're gonna pretend that Star Ocean 5 never happened. I've heard that most of the other ones are pretty good, at least. There seems to be some affection for Star Ocean 1. Star Ocean 2 is, like, borderline kind of legendary. Star Ocean 3 is a game whose overall, like, stock has plummeted over the years. But it was generally kind of beloved when it came out, and then people were like, oh, this twist is actually dog shit, and then they just turned on it hard. Soundtrack is still pretty good, which it should be. Star Ocean 4 is a game that I don't really know where a lot of people stand on it. I feel like the overall opinion has been a little bit more divided on that one. Anyway, yeah, I'm save stating in this because, yeah, fuck right off. I'm done goofing off with this. I want this level to be done, and I'm going to cut out on the amount of needless repetition involved here, if that'll help, and I believe it will. You know, it's not like we gained levels for grinding against this boss or something, right? So, all dying here over and over gets us is headaches. Well, Sonic 06 is certainly too high on the not shit scale compared to Star Ocean 5. And at the very least, at least Sonic 06 has an excuse, right? Sonic 06, they were trying to do something a little different. They were sort of doing this soft reboot, and they were rushed all to high hell. Star Ocean 5, as far as I can tell, they were not rushed at all. The game functions properly. You know, they weren't really taking chances with it. The basics are all there. They brought on Akimon for the character designs again, who legitimately just turned in a bunch of ripoffs of his own work. You know, hey, yeah, here's the previous Star Ocean protagonist, also Morrigan, but less. I don't know, at least Victor is, like, kind of alright. A little generic, but not, like, not bad, and also not designed in a way that's, like, insane. That's a little bit mean, but it's like, yeah, Victor may be just some dude, and also I'm falling in these pits like a gross amount. I'm screwing up jumps that I know how to do a lot, and it's kind of hurting me a little bit inside because I've been so good at this already. But yeah, no, I mean... Oh, wow, we actually lived through that because we landed on the other platform. Oh, boy, I forgot what I was saying because I was distracted by pain and misery. Yeah. Star Ocean 5... Really, again, the designs were either fairly boring, mostly ripping off existing, or, like, overdone. And I'm sure we can all understand who I mean when I say overdone. And I'm talking, like, Fate character overdone. And, yeah, now we're save stating again because I'm out of lives. And I goofed up a really easy jump that by no means should be that exact. It doesn't even look like that, you know? That doesn't look like it should be a challenge. Maybe my brain's just playing tricks on me because at this point, yeah. But, right. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was joking about what's her name being like Fate character grade.
Madam, these spike traps are what all true Reploids strive for. Or something like that. Also, oh no, the greatest catchphrase of Knuckles. Get a load of this. You know what they say, the more the merrier.
Oh yeah, get a load of this. Get a load of this! Thank you, Robotnik in SA1. Oh, Robotnik in Sonic Adventure 1. Oh, Sonic Adventure 1 in general. Oh, the Sonic Adventure series voice acting. That's my bad. But this is why we save stated, because don't want to go through getting back here again. But I will do it in the middle of the ready sequence because, yeah. Again, and if anybody's gonna get like all complainy or anything, I can do this stuff. This is just to cut down on the tedium of rerunning parts of things. And besides, it's not like I'm out here speed running or some shit. Otherwise, I would have quit hours ago and I would have looked up a guide beforehand at least. You know, I don't really think that it should be deemed cheating to give yourself extra lives in a game that's like not a coin guzzler. You know, if there's some sort of like true delimiting factor in terms of like how lives work or something. If you're on one of these newfangled online games, well, it's okay. I have a good stockpile, but we'll see what we can do about any extras, because why not? I probably should try, like, not spending all that HP, because I still have a boss to go through, and I have 0 lives. We'll just take the reset. Well, reset, air quotes. Anyway, so I legitimately have forgotten what I was saying. Oh yeah, it was about lives in video games. Listen, if it's not like if it's not an arcade machine and you're not on an actual arcade machine and not like paying for the privilege, and you're not on a thing that restricts your ability to play it a certain amount, then really giving yourself extra lives, I do not perceive a bullshit. I do not perceive a problem with it because, again, you're just cutting down on the amount of tedium that you're spending getting yourself back where you were. Lives served a purpose in arcade machines, but, and you know, you can make maybe some arguments if you want about having them if you want for older games, but nowadays, really, they are an outmoded concept. Which is why I think on some level there is something to... Yeah, I probably should have, like, immediately, but I was like, I was feeling confident at that point is the deal. Because it's like, I've done this section enough that I know what these jumps are. I know, you know, I thought I knew what I was doing, at least. But quite frankly, it turns out that I don't know shit. Or as it were, I don't know jack. You go and fuck yourself, game. I was holding down, but again, it might be one of those things where it's the emulator, but yeah. Anyway, I digest. So, yeah, again, it's a thing that if you want it, sure. And I think that's kind of, on some level, why you have games like Dark Souls and Shovel Knight and stuff like that, that do away with the concept, but they have other punishments for you for if you die. Although, in my personal opinion, I think that should be something you can turn off too. Especially depending on the game, where it can end up turning into a snowball effect where you just keep getting punished for not happening to be good enough at the game, and in some ways that can end up turning out to be worse in very specific circumstances. Like if somebody's got their fucking needle game level design in there to give you the pain, then being like, hey, yeah, every time you die you temporarily lose access to one of your heart containers or some shit. That is not good. That is a very bad choice of design. But also, you'll notice that I'm not like abusing this too heavily. I'm just doing it as like, hey, I died. I'm doing it in response to when I die, not like every hit. I'm not forcing a perfect run or anything through this. I'm only doing it to remove deaths, because otherwise I think that does verge into an area of things that are unfair. Because I think there should be some sort of like delimiting factor for some of these games to be like, hey, yeah, this is what you have to do in order to complete the challenge. Otherwise, what's even the point, right? It doesn't become a challenge unless there's at least one restriction on it. Otherwise, it just becomes a straight path. A slightly funnily shaped straight path sometimes, but a straight path nonetheless. And on this channel, doing things straight is not our bag. Unless we're playing Balatro and we seem to keep running into very stupid straight flush-based runs, that's been enough of a running theme that I will make jokes about it, because at that point, really, why not? Okay, so I'm going to save this in a different slot because we're not at full health, and basically if I take a couple cracks at this and I do badly enough, then I'll try for more health. So, by the way, for the curious, if you let those orbs go up to the ceiling, you know, if you don't shoot them enough, which is what that's a check for, he will call down thunderbolts. And this is the reason why Dynamo Man is so infamous, is because he has that healing cell. He breaks a big taboo, really, for bosses, because he heals himself. Nobody likes seeing that. I don't usually care, actually, if it's designed well, like the groundskeeper or whatever it's called, the big stupid thing with the side horns in FF10 at the top of Mount Gagazet. That's fine because it's a puzzle boss technically, but when you have something like that. Also, yes, lightning bolt was spelt wrong for any of you who were or were not paying attention. It did, in fact, have lightning bolt spelt incorrectly. And on you for noticing if you did. If you didn't, well, now you will never be able to unsee it. Anyway, we're gonna buy a crap load of lives here. Yeah, I know, right? I feel I had good cause to have nerves, though. Hey, we're maxed out on lives now. We'll grab the exit device. I don't need that. I will grab a Spike Saver, which is just a one-shot, but we'll take it anyway. I'll grab the Rush Search, because I probably will need it at some point. And I'll be right back. Okay, folks, I am back. And yeah. So let's take a look at our database real quick anyway, and we can see we're at 9 so far. And we can take a look at a couple of these pages just to break things up a little bit here. Oh, they're not this isn't a very good translation patch. That's a pity. Maybe I'll look for a different one next time. But hey, we got Astro Man, so we got at least one instance of getting Robot Master's CD out of his level. I think most of those require Mega Man, so yeah, that's a pretty big gaff, we'll say. And hey, here's our robot Sun Wukong from the Genesis compilation, Wily Wars. Speaking of which, I'm kind of curious about the overall status of the sequel wars. I should look into that at some point. Lightning Bolt is a pretty generic screen clearer. So yeah, easy to use that one, that's for sure. I probably expressed some consternation earlier about one of the weapons in particular, and we'll have to deal with that. That'll be another place where I save state, so look forward to that, I suppose. And here we go. It's time for Cold Man, finally. I love his stage theme. Especially just that opening fanfare to it. Like, that's just a really good, like, especially... Again, if you're playing as bass, this is the first stage you want to go to, so it's like this great beginning of your journey sort of thing, I feel like. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with the misspelled lightning bolt. Oh, I get it. So in here, I think we would want to use the ice wall to get that. Oh, well, this is quite obvious. Ew. Pretty simple little bit of admittedly kind of scary platforming, also extremely free extra life there. Like, wow. Really, I think only the one in Groundman stage is like anywhere close to that. Ah, shit. And here we've got a mini boss. So, I'm gonna take a look over here. I actually still have the page open. Okay, he's weak to the remote mine? Oh, go fuck yourself. I don't even have that. So I think our best bet is to just Mega Buster him. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to see if I can bind my my directionals here, my diagonals rather. Just to make absolutely sure that I can actually do these properly. Because otherwise, that's a bit of an issue. And yeah, see, we're We're getting better work done here. Otherwise, we can't really dodge away from his suck breath too well. Also, you'll notice that he's only jumping 2 times now. I believe that the number of jumps is a rough indicator of how much progress you've made on the health, the mini-boss's health. And the 3rd jump only really becomes a thing once you've beaten the crap out of it enough. Yeah, see, that's remarkably not a ton of HP for us to worry about, all considered. So, yeah. Also, a lot of incredibly just absolutely free CDs here. So, thank you, game, I think. Oops. All right, so here's where we save state. We shouldn't need it, but just in case. And in particular, we're save stating here because this guy is weak to the lightning bolt. Although weak is a bit of a stretch, because the lightning bolt cannot kill him from full without having its cost reduced, and we don't have the cost reduction part. So if we fail here, we're like even more screwed than usual against a boss. And now this is when we want to start doing it. I was going to say, does he emit another cloud? So, I mean, we could probably have done it with, like, a combination of switching between regular Mega Busters and the Lightning Bolt, but, yeah, this is a boss that is absolutely better suited to be fought by base. Fighted. Wow, okay. Neat. I did not know that, but I guess it kind of makes sense on some level. All right, so how's our shop looking here? Nice and full. All right. We got some good stuff here. The generator. Weapons will require less energy to fire. Great indeed. Yeah, that's pretty high priority for us. Energy transfer. Damage we take is turned into weapon energy. This will be good for later, possibly. Yeah, things are ramping down in terms of difficulty for a second. Burner Man's kind of a bastard, but we'll get there. The Force Shield reduces the damage we take. That might be a good one to pick up. Auto Recover. Now this. Grossly expensive, but very helpful. You can guess how it works. Hypercharge. Charges our Mega Buster faster. Kinda okay. Beat. Beat just keeps getting more abilities. And in this case, Beat will drop a shield for us. Kinda handy. The Scanner. This will be good for later on when we decide to start... if we go for all CDs at some point, which, like, okay, yeah, that is going to take a total of $100, but I digress. And the CD Finder. This creates sparkles on the ground near buried CDs. Again, possibly useful later depending on whether or not we do that. So we'll pick up the Generator. And we'll come back for, like, these ones for sure. Later on. But for now, let's go into the land of ice cubes and go find the one that corresponds to Ice Wall, which will be this one. So Ice Wall is a strong move, but very short range. Again, kind of reminiscent, not just of all the other melee weapons in the series, but very specifically of the charged shotgun ice from X1. And here we go. It's time for the Burner Man. Yet another fight that has to rank among very few people's favorites. I like what they're doing with the percussion in the back of the track here. Just a nice rhythm that they're laying down there. Good beat. Beat. Wait. Beat, also known as something we're probably not going to be doing to this game tonight unless I decide to go for like a 4.5-hour stream. Knowing how well I do at certain upcoming parts of, of proceedings. And I will be going through a run with bass as well. That has been my intention the whole time. We have critical boost equipped, so we're turning on Super Recover instead. Because that should help us out for the stage for the most part. Oh yeah, especially if we get that. Just get dropped the big thing. So in here, is this we should be able to get this, I think. Once we kill this incredibly stout thing in front of us. Which probably has a weakness, but I don't know. Wow, that drained like most of our health. We should probably avoid fighting those things. Now, you gotta be careful in this area because there are, like, hidden holes in the floor. Like that, yeah. And some of them will be placed over spikes, which is very kind of the game. Yeah, big Mega Man and Bass moment. More like Mega Man all of them moment, really. But, I digress. This one killer shoe is giving me some trouble here. It's amazing. Okay, so it's positioned over this sort of... Oh, this is hard as fuck. Because you have, like, no overhead clearance. It's okay, we probably could use the refill. If the game will give us a refill. That's a weapon refill game. Okay, so it's more like the edge of the... God. Well, that's one way to get it. I don't think that's the expected way to get it, but I digress. Have we ever really done things the expected way at this point? And the answer is probably no. Hooray, we got some HP. And yeah, here's where the hey, it's over spikes now thing comes into play. Alright, so we should still have our spike cushion, so we can actually go for this thing. Now on the other side of here is a thing we might be able to get with the ice wall. Not while these guys are spawning in, but they are a place to recover, I guess. So I'll take it to try to get a little bit more health, because I would prefer to not get one shot by getting knocked off, which I don't think is going to be a huge possibility, but it could happen. Alright, come on, give me one more drop. Just one more drop and then I'll go. Just one more drop and then I'll go. Like, it doesn't even have to be health. If it's a weapon, I'll go and I'll just be like, yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, okay, I guess. Alright. So, push that. Oh, fuck. Well, I done goofed. Yes, I would assume that the intended way here is that you're supposed to ice wall it. But, okay, yeah, it's quite low. So, Bass gets an ability in this game called the treble boost, or gospel boost in the original, which turns him into a form that can fly. So that can also be used to get those. And I just assumed that the thing I was going to have to go to was going to be too high up for me to get there without using the gospel boost. But I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll show it off anyway. And honestly, this whole ordeal of trying to get back is kind of pointless because I can't return. I don't have a spike cushion anymore. It's a one-use item. But hey, we're up to 19 CDs, so again, I have a pretty good start for who am I kidding? Nobody's gonna come in here and donate for the entire repertoire. Yeah, I suppose that is possible. Base can do it with his double jump, and so either way, I guess Mega Man doing it with the ice wall, that's fair enough and completely understandable and all that. I'm curious about something. I don't think that's doing enough damage for that, but still. All right, let's keep going here. There will be other ways to heal, hopefully. And goodness knows, I really need it. Yay, bolts. Yes. Ah, Gutsman's ass. That's it. See, clearly they need to do like another Mega Man game just that way they can give us a good render of Gutsman's aft area, you know. All right. So now the gorillas are throwing bouncy balls. Okay, the copy vision does good work on the gorillas, actually. All right, so here we've got, well, you can see what we've got here. Why do I need to tell you about it? Now we got a room full of spears coming out of the wall. So you know Plastic Alan would just love this. And the floor, too, once you get far enough in. A lot of real jerk shit in this level, huh? Oh, boo earns. I think there's a CD buried under there, but I could be wrong. All right, more importantly, we come over here for a second. We can't get that extra life, but we can get the CD. Which is good. All right, so now we're going to enter a room that turns into instant death pretty easily. With certain enemies when they show up on screen. These guys, they will drop big ol' napalm bombs. I remember that kind of freaking me out when I was a kid. That... Especially, again, we were playing on ZSNES, so the quality of the transparency effects was what you might politely say is not quality, you know? Hey, we managed to actually get that bolt. Nice. Can we go up here? No. Yeah, the fire is instant death. Unfortunately, we spawn back actually less far than I remember. So that's good, I think. And that is something you definitely want gospel boost for. Is that thing. Nice. We gotta heal. All right. Oops. Oh shit, I'm surprised that works. Okay, so what's our life situation looking like? 5. All right. Now, with the generator and the ice wall. And here we go. Here is this game's sort of puzzle boss, if you will. Because this guy is quite hard to actually get a chance to hit. And he has an insanely aggressive attack pattern. You basically kind of have to hit him from behind with the ice wall. And also push him into the spikes. Make sure that you keep him on screen while you do that, because if he goes off screen, he will... it will stop affecting him properly. He'll break out of it, basically. Also, he hurts like the Dickens. Like, this guy does so much damage to us. All right, so we're gonna save here because I think we're in a position where we're still okay to do this in terms of weapon energy and amount of lives. And I walked into my own ice wall and broke it. That's real smart. Like, I sincerely don't think this guy needs to do this much damage to you on top of everything else. Like, he's already a complicated enough boss fight that's unnecessary. However, it is an interesting concept, which is good because... God damn it! I'm just playing that real badly. That's like, you gotta be standing almost stock still using the ice wall or back away quickly. And also, you basically can't hit him with it from the front, period. Kind of stay towards the middle. No, he's gonna be a jerk. Oh boy, we got him in the toe. All right, now we're getting somewhere. But you can see what I mean about this guy being an absolute jerk to fight. Like, again, I get it. It's nice. Just not a huge fan of the execution. Because it's a real feel-bad thing otherwise. And we got the Wave Burner. Hey, wow, it's a flamethrower, and it has like a pretty decent clustering effect, all considered. It seems to do some work. Alright, save. Alright, so the wave burner is not all the way down here. I think it's on the other side, maybe? Oh, I see. Elecman gets a move later called Thunderbolt. I see. That does make more sense, yeah. And yeah, the Wave Burner can light fuses on those boxes and make them explode. Oh yeah, he did have... It was called Thunderbolt in that game. Right. I don't know why I didn't think it was, because I'm easily confused, I suppose. Anyway, Pirate Man, let's... I'm sorry, I forgot. Can't multitask in this emulator. I like Pirate Man's stage theme too. Ah, I see. Yeah, Pirate Man. I admit I'm kind of surprised there wasn't a Pirate Man before this. I don't remember what happens in Pirate Man's boss fight other than water levels that adjust. And I screwed up getting that CD. Well, that's fine. Again, they're still currently in side quest mode, so. Oh, hey, look, it's one of those things. As they block that passage. I believe the Wave Burner is good on the treasure chests, yes, even when they're underwater. Speaking of which, the Wave Burner underwater, just sort of... Oops. Like, the Wave Burner underwater just kind of produces, like, a pushing effect. We'll show it off here for a second. Doesn't even do damage, but it can push those mines around. Again, you probably would expect the flamethrower not to work underwater, right? So, fair enough. I'll give them points for that one. I see you working here, guys. I think. Also, yes, in case I haven't mentioned it, but I've definitely made it clear through my play, you can select weapons on the fly with the L and R buttons. As usual, I just tend to just use the menu. Well, I mean, plus I suspect there's the whole thing of, like, Dive Man's got a pirate theme going on, whereas, or pardon me. Oh god, there goes my ice wall. Will this kill this thing? Oh, for the love of fuck, please get off me. I don't know how to get rid of... I guess I just have to wait around a while. That is toxic. Anyway, on the other hand, it's like, okay, my other thought is Dive Man is themed around a submarine, whereas Pirate Man is, well, a pirate, so, you know, from a time well before that kind of thing, you know. And again, very much like a classic-looking pirate, too, you know. Not even like, oh, hey, yeah, there's still piracy in the modern, you know, there's still piracy on the open seas in the modern age, kind of. All right, we got 2 lives, so we're gonna be okay here. But I'll put on the generator, and yeah, how much wave burner energy do I have? I have enough. There's a slim chance that we'll be able to fight this guy with this. In fact, I think we can actually, yeah, we can annoy him quite heavily while the water level is still high, which is pretty impressive. Oh boy, nice armored armadillo there, buddy. Yeah, there's aquatic themed robot masters, but like pirates, yeah, I'm surprised that it took them this long, really. Like others, I kind of get. Ground Man was originally named Drill Man until they realized, oh shit, we have a Drill Man. So that's its own category of funny business surrounding the robot masters of this game. Anyway, this guy is hella easy if you're just willing to take some damage. And by some damage, I mean like 60% of your life bar. So I don't know what I was worried about. What, does he look like fucking Dynamo Man? Burner Man? Either of those two chuckleheads? Actually, Dynamo Man's kind of easy. All right, now, before we move on, we're going to go on a brief little spending spree here of basically buying the auto recover. Because otherwise, I don't remember when the next save point is after what we do. Okay, so back over here. There is one more weapon room, and it is one that sucks. This is where we do the thing for the remote mine. So I'm going to save state here because this genuinely is like stupidly hard compared to the rest of these. At least I find it to be pretty tough. Because first, you've got to get it through that tiny little gap. And then you have to navigate it through this little passage here. This is like genuinely an actual test of your skill with the weapon. It's a test of your reflexes. Wait, no, sorry, that's something else. Although I suppose, yeah, a little bit of a test of your reflexes. Anyway, yeah, we managed to pull that off, but I frequently have to go through like several energy meters worth of of taking a crack at that in order to actually get there. So hey, we did so much better than usual. At least with that thing, and not so much with the rest. But speaking of the rest, we will embark on the rest of this game next stream.